Welcome to the Strategic Management Accounting course, where we teach the value-adding steps and processes necessary to execute strategy. Whether you are just starting up or looking to grow your business, then this course is for you. With your host, Dr. Neil O'Connor.
Okay, or we are getting information so we can influence the people to do better for us. Okay, we have a framework here, and like I said, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm taking you into the world of value engineering and activity-based costing. But tonight, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to activity-based costing. But before I do that, we're going to do a few things. Number one, there's going to be some we're going to look at some cost examples. Okay, costing examples. Okay, give you some real world examples. Okay. Number 3, right, 1, 2, 3. Number 3, what are we going to do? I'm going to give you an activity-based costing exercise. All right. Number 4, we're going to spend some time to answer your questions about the assessment and anything that you want answers on. Okay? I don't want you to leave here until we have exhausted all of your questions. Are we clear? That's our plan. So let's weigh anchor and move in the exciting area of costing. Right? So 1, 2, and 3. We want to look at some examples. So I'll give you some very easy examples. Now, I'm going to skip over some of the PowerPoint slides. Why? Because there are 2 blocks that I've used in part 1 and part 2 on the YouTube. You can go home tonight, as I demonstrated earlier, you can go home tonight and start watching that YouTube. I encourage you to do that. All right, is this going in and out? Is this working okay? Okay. Lesson plan. You with me? Okay, what is the purpose of costing? The big purpose is really, if you look at all the survey practice, here is what companies use costing for. And you're probably thinking, this is strategic management accounting. Why do we look at costing? Costing is so important for the following reasons. Maybe it's pricing, product mix decisions, decisions about cost reduction, process improvement, design. There are all these purposes of costing. We can look at this YouTube in a minute. I want you to have a look at, and I just want to show you how I'll give you a real live example of standard costing. How many of you have heard of standard costing? Well, that's a really fancy term that's used if you're going to be a cost accountant. You need to know how to do standard costing. But I'm going to show you a video that actually shows you, without showing accounting, what standard costing really is about. Okay, we're going to do that. But before I do that, I want to give you a real live example. How many of you know these 2 cars? Put your hand up. Oh, come on. If you know, I want your hand up. If you've never seen this car before, you shouldn't put your hand up. If you have, come on, hands up. Okay, that's great, most of you. Would you buy either of these cars? This is the Cherry QQ, and here we have the Chevrolet Spark. They're competitors. How much is the Cherry QQ? Do you know how much it is? You can check the smartphone now, but I'll tell you.
40,000.
40,000. Is it that cheap now?
40,000 RMB.
Really? Is it that cheap? The price is so cheap. Like I checked it 18 months ago, and I think it was 80 or 90,000. So I don't know why the price has gone down. But anyway, look, it's under 100,000 yuan. It's very cheap. Just about anyone in the cities in China can afford it, very easy, all right? It's just that there's no room on the roads to drive it. That's the challenge. But very popular, very cheap. What about the Chevrolet Spark? A little bit more expensive. Let's say at least 50% more expensive. I wonder why. That's a big question I want to give to you. Why do you think this car is 50% plus more expensive? Pardon? Quality. Let's write this down. You teach me something here. You know more about this than me because you're from mainland China. All right? So, number one, it could be the quality. What else? Pardon? Okay, so you're saying that this car, the Chevrolet Spark, Chevrolet deliberately put the price up higher. They want to make a higher margin. Okay? All right? Two, brand. All right. All right, so they're trying to have a higher margin, okay? Any other reasons why you think there's a 50% difference? Sorry, they're both made in China. So, they're both sold in China.
I mean the
Tariff. That would only affect imports of materials that go into one and not the other. But I'm not sure. I think a huge percentage of the materials that go into these cars are sourced in China. There may be some, but I don't think that's enough to affect the difference. But let me just, maybe what you're saying is the sourcing strategy is different. All right, you're saying that one manufacturer has a different sourcing strategy than the other one. They're sourcing to import, and so therefore they have to pay tariffs or something like that, right? Well, what do you mean?
I mean, if they were set a same level of prices, people will all buy Chevrolet, but not to choose. So to protect the domestic industry, we have to set a kind of tax level to the foreign brands in order to protect our domestic industries in this case.
Oh, okay. Is there a foreign brand tax? Is it? How much is it?
I don't really know that.
I'd love you to find out for me because I don't know. I'm not sure if I don't think so. I understand that there's customs duty, there's import tax. If one manufacturer brings materials into China, then they have to pay a duty. It could be up to 16%. So I understand that, but not if everything's sourced in China and made in China, then sold in China. I don't think there is a tax that works against one brand if it's foreign, another brand that's domestic.
There is.
Okay, so let's do some research and find out, shall we? All right. No. I want to know. I really want to know. I want to know the situation. So maybe you're on the touch of this iceberg, and so we need to find out what that iceberg looks like. Can you find out for me? I'd love you to. They'll appreciate that very much. So, other reasons why we might find a difference in the price.
Cost.
The cost is different. Oh wow, I love this. Bit of competition here. What do you mean by cost is different?
Maybe the Spark use material is more, the cost is much more than PP.
Okay. Material costs. Love it. This is true, absolutely. And what were you thinking about?
Maybe the cost not only consists the material, but also consists some development research cost. For example, they need to pay more money to the staff who relate
Oh.
designed this kind of.
That's interesting. That's a very good point. I love it. This is research and development costs. But maybe what you're saying, maybe some of Chevrolet's research and development costs may be overseas. And so then the China government doesn't like this, but then the overseas subsidiary charges a management fee, an R&D fee to the China subsidiary in order to get profits out of China and pay less tax in China. Those doing international tax, pay attention. All right, so we do that on Monday night, that strategy. But here, yes, it could be that the foreign brand, the research and development costs may be overseas and might be part of their strategy of charge and taking profits out. All right, it could be because of that. All right, any other ideas?
Oil consumption.
Oil consumption. Is one more than the other?
Yeah, the people is oil, not so oil saving.
Yeah, but so why would you pay less then? What? Let's be clear here. How can QQ sustain their existence as a manufacturer? How can they sustain their existence as a manufacturer over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years selling something so cheap? Yes, it could be one of all of these reasons. Yes, it could be. But they're still profitable. They're still operating. How can they do that?
I guess it's about indirect costs, which is related to the wage of the employees. Maybe, yeah, it is important.
Do you think that the employees of QQ factory are paid less than the employees of the...
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe the Westerner work in the foreign brand, so that, normally Westerner have more salary.
Yeah, it's not fair, is it?
Yeah, it's fair.
The expatriates, they get paid more. But less and less so now because there's much more localization of management in China. But I see your point. So we can put material costs, R&D costs, maybe management costs are higher. Why? Because the foreign brand has, relative to the local brand, have more expatriates they have to pay, even if it's just one more. It's just extra amount. Very good point. Okay, so do you want to know another reason? A secret reason that you don't know about? I do. Because my friend at Volkswagen, they got the QQ, and this is what the manufacturers do all the time. They go and buy the competitor's car, bring it back and pull it apart to find out what the latest designs are, what the latest innovations are. It's the only way to find out. Like the other way is, let's ring up Chevy, smart. Hey, could we have a copy of your research and design plans? No way! Go jump in the lake, all right? You know that's going to happen, right? So how can you find out about new innovations? You go and buy the competitor's product, you bring it back, and you pull it apart. And this is what my friend did, Volkswagen, and guess what? They started pulling the axles apart and realized, the axle! It's identical. It had a tooling stamp identical to the axle in the Chevrolet Spark. It's identical. How could that happen? What do you think happened? Two different manufacturers, but identical axle. Like it's come from the same parts supplier. It came from the same axle manufacturer.
The supplier.
What happened? Relationship? Maybe? What do you think happened? I want you to think.
The supplier will provide cheaper to factory.
Let's think about it, okay? Chevy,
The supplier themselves.
close, but I think your first one, let's finish your first point. Maybe Chevy, they spend all the R&D making sure they work with the suppliers, developing the axle. Okay? So, QQ, come to that supplier. Oh, you're doing a run of 100,000 axles for Chevy. Look, we'll pay you marginal cost plus a little bit more. You do another run of 20,000, but don't tell your customer. Ah, that's what happened. That's what happened. No wonder why they can make this for so much cheaper. Exactly, yes. Yes, or whatever you call it. I'm just saying, this is what happened. These are strategy, that's a strategy. I'm not saying if it's against the law or not, I'm just saying, this happened. That's strategy, it's cost strategy. It's strategic cost accounting. Taking advantage of a supplier's commitment to a volume production, instead of asking that supplier, oh, can you make this specific axle for me? Oh, we're happy with the one you're already making, but we'll only pay you much less. So the supplier's happy, they just keep the machines running at night time when the customer's not around. Yeah. Yes, maybe all of these things can contribute to why that is cheaper, but there is unknown things happening too. You have to be aware of this. This is the real stuff. That's not theory. You're going to get the real stuff in this unit. Okay? So, let me ask you, do you want the theory or the real stuff in the next 12 weeks? Okay, we'll give you the real stuff.